early.
Zin.
Or
No, Zin.
Rumble.
Zin.
Or
Okay.
Zin.
The other thing that I'm curious about is, I like the Rumble pick. One of the things I'm curious about is, do we see Zehen jungle from Tarzan? Because I think a lot of people in LPL are
Oriana's
sleeping
up
on
too.
Zehen jungle. Oh, Oriana also got through, but WE are just going to commit to the Azir. Azir Zin, really strong team fighting combo already. Decent winning 2v2 as well, or at least a powerful 2v2 winning.
Wow.
Jarvan early, just to really synergize
Jarvan
with the
Oriana.
Rumble Hot Pot combo.
Rumble. Oh, God. So this is something I was talking to you about a bit earlier, Rafa. I've got the stats here exactly. So Karis on Team WE, globally all-time, has a 38% win rate over 26 games. Not great. And he has played 0 Oriana this year. He instead opts to play a Kael or a Azir every game into the Oriana this split. And he's been winning quite a few games on it. So this is something that Team WE are very well aware of. But it's not just about the Oriana, it's about what surrounds it. It's a Jarvan Rumble. I do think that the Xin Zhao is a great point. Like, I was talking about it getting buffed. It is very, very strong. But AL do have Rumble, Jarvan, Oriana. That's pretty scary.
I like what AL are targeting their bans on. Obviously, they're looking at 80 carries, but they want to look at marksmen that can escape that Cataclysm. Ezreal, the safest one with the free Arcane Shift. Probably looking at something like, I don't know, Lucian, or I'm just trying to go through my head of like what other 80 carries have built-in escape mechanics that do not rely on flash.
I mean, and you could go the Zeri. Like, we've been seeing it pop back up. But I'm worried about an Ashe Seraphine for AL here. I think there is just nothing that WE can do. If that gets locked in, you have so much damage. You have 3 winning lanes. You have the best team fight possible. And they haven't put... Oh, actually, okay. AL banning the Ashe, so worried about the thing on the other side. So now you do have an option to maybe get something a little bit more mobile. Or you could go the Thresh, which does have that built-in escape for your AD carry.
Low key, yeah, okay. So I was expecting either a Corki or a Thresh ban from anyone's legend to try and prevent a hyper carry getting a free get out of jail card with the Dark Passage out of a Cataclysm combo. And because you're setting up that Wombo, I don't mind the Misfortune being comboed alongside it. Xin Zhao does work pretty nicely into it though. Just blocks a lot of any range damage from the bullet time. But anyone's legend, game 1 draft, they commit to the full Wombo combo. Get everyone in that hot pot and cook them alive.
Yeah, AL are pressing R this game. They need to locate on their keyboard, and they need to press it as often as they can. I like the Braum pick here. It's good against the Nautilus. It's good against the MF. It can be good against things like the Jarvan as well. It has options to get out of the cage. I think the Team WE have a good draft. You know, they've got great damage, especially late game with the Azir side lane, the Ornn upgrades. But AL do have a very tier list draft. You know, they've got the Rumble and the Oriana together. They've got a great jungle to tie it together. And then I don't really think that bot lane priority is going to be won by either team here. I think that it's a lot up to the jungle and how this mid lane matchup goes. If either side of this mid lane matchup goes heavily one way, I think it's really hard for the team that's losing that trade to really get accelerated or catch back up.
I'm with you on the jungle focus for this matchup. Tarzan, MVP for regular season split 1, going up against Monki, who had a standout 2025 season. Hasn't really lived up to those expectations this split consistently. Had a massive series, though, into LNG's Croco specifically, which is a sign of some good potential that could come out. But then again, this is a whole other level that he has to clear. Literally, David versus Goliath, gargantuan matchup on the line here in their first upper round playoff match.
Yeah, Team WE, they're going to have to persevere. They've learned how to, you know, get some perseverance. They're going to have to use it in this series. I think it's very favored towards AL just based on how this team has performed in the past, and it could be a long series. I think the Team WE have got their work cut out for them with this Game 1 draft.
Let's see how it all plays out as WE and Anyone's Legend take the Summoner's Rift for Game 1.
A little bit less quiet. I'm sorry, a little bit quieter on the WE side, but I'm happy, you know, to hear some fans nonetheless. But
I was about to say,
I'm also
definitely nice to see some turnout for WE fans, because this is a very, very heavily favored Anyone's Legend matchup. So just any support counts, baby.
I hope we get to see it happen in the Series 1. I'd love to see the audience, like the LPL audience, like odds, the predictions, the bar. I'd love to see what everyone thinks is the chance of Team WE winning. I think it needs to be on the back of Karis and Monki. I think that, especially in this Game 1, this is a matchup that we've seen and got pretty accustomed to recently, the Orianna Azir trade, and I was surprised. It's a nice hook.
Look at this.
The shield from Yaoyao, early heal trade will come out.
Tarzan is already aggressively pathing invading. That signals to Hope and Kael to get massive aggressive trades. They are prepping for a dive. And by the time Monki comes over, if he goes straight to his Raptors and doesn't check any of his camps, they will not know until it is too late. But the
wave's not in a great spot. I think against a Braum, it can be a bit rough.
Yeah.
To dive this. And we've seen in this first series of tonight, the dive against the Lucian. And JDG were able to get a ton of gold in bot lane for that, but Monki will now know. And Tarzan had already based, bought a longsword and a pink ward to continue going. But Monki has some tempo here, whether he wants to run topside or just come through and swing past a gank.
Shanks procs the phase rush. He still is not necessarily in a safe spot. Has to walk pretty long ways away. And Monki wants to decide whether he wants to go for the Raptors or look for the collapse on Shanks. But top lane Cube just based and ported. So Flandre has the first collapse if he wants to play for this river fight. Tarzan says, Monki, do you really want to take this fight, brother? The flash from Monki is followed by Tarzan. Karis swoops on in. Shanks with the passive revs up those autos for first blood, and Karis will fall too.
I just have to say, it's such smart gameplay from Shanks. He passes down into the enemy side of the map and then doesn't base at low health. He sits there and says, Tarzan, we win this 2v2. Come over, and Monki will stay. Tarzan ends up winning it, and it's 2 kills early over to AL. I mean, if you want it, this mid matchup is already hard early game for Azir. It just got a ton harder. It's already a 700 plus gold lead for Shanks.
Yeah, and it was good awareness, too, from both Tarzan and Shanks. Remember, Tarzan got that invade early, didn't go for the dive, but based and has an extra longsword. Extra combat stats, even in an even level lead, makes the whole world of difference and gives them the confidence to take that fight. Monki might try and look for a bot lane, but it's not quite pushed up to the tower. I mean, Gebetto, this is a tough state for Monki, man. Yeah.
Not only the kill, like he's down 900 gold at 4 minutes, but the XP lead as well. Tarzan is a level and a half up on Monki right now, and he's everywhere on the map.
Cube is in trouble. Tries to flash! I mean, he still gets flashed on, but Tarzan will fall to the turret shot. Shutdown ends up going over to Cube's Ornn, but he just teleported, so this is a major win for Flandre.
Yeah, it's... You know, gold and XP being lost in top, but again, look at the gold lead in jungle. He's up more than 1,000 gold, sub 5 minutes. If you wanted anything from your MVP of the split, he came out and is showing Team WE why exactly he's getting that trophy.
It's just very creative pathing from Tarzan, and he's not necessarily overcommitting on like the super extreme parts of the pathing. At first we thought that, okay, he goes for this aggressive bot side pathing to set up the dive, but as soon as they recognize, okay, this dive is a little bit harder, Tarzan doesn't even waste time waiting for it to happen. He just immediately pops base, goes back to clearing his camps, and he still maintains this tempo advantage. Already, it's a 2.2 thousand gold lead here at 5.5 minutes.
Yeah, that's not great for Team WE, but I mean, there's not really a but there. They are genuinely just down 2,000 gold, and back in mid,
Emperor's Divide into the quick shuffle. Karis is able to escape and doesn't pop his flash, so well played by Karis.
Yeah, there we go. There's a little bit of a silver lining. We do live the gank in mid and only lose the ult. No TP, so Karis will go down a bit more CS and some experience as well, but it's not too bad. It's nearly a full level there. And I guess for Monki, like, he has evened up a little bit of this CS advantage in mid, but in jungle, the XP. But yeah, I'm not sure if you're allowed to be here, Monki.
Monki really would love to deny this from Tarzan, but Monki's got to be careful about how long he commits to this, because Tarzan, if he secures it, hits level 6, and you do not want to play into Cataclysm without a flash, so he's forced to give it up.
This is very difficult to play for Team WE. Like, AL are up 2,500 gold in 6 minutes, and it's all on like an early game jungler who loves to play exactly how Tarzan is playing, be all over the map, fighting, skirmishing in these small 2v2s, 3v3s, and on an Orianna, who is not going a rower build, is just going a Lost Chapter item, most likely a Ludens. That's going to be so difficult for Karis to play out the lane. And then you've got kind of small wins in top, small wins in bot, you know, up gold, up XP. You know, will have these items completed. And for Team WE, like, how do you play the game from this aspect? Tarzan can go anywhere he wants, whenever he wants, and he's always got a kill free and waiting for him.
Flandre already prepping that dive for another kill to be hand-fed to Tarzan. Monki is here for the collapse. Instant Cataclysm right on the cube. Looks for the flag and drag. However, it takes a little too long to try and finish off the kill, and Monki's there for the punish, getting a 1-up on the MVP.
Well, that's a nice mistake by AL that Team WE are going to capitalize on. It'll even the goal lead up just a little bit. I was fully expecting Flandre to just walk past the tower, flash, ignite. Like, there's so much damage on the side of AL. I think that's a bit greedy from Tarzan. He'll lose the Grubs as well, but it is gold injected into Team WE. Not a ton. Like, it is still very, very dire for Team WE as AL approach for another round.
Monki knows that he has enough time to at least secure one grub. Back off for now. Does have Smite to go for a second round, but wants to see if he can punish Flandre. Ignite and Flash at the ready from this Rumble. Overheated, Monki dashes in with the audacious charge. Flash for the 3 talent strike, knock up, and Cube secures the kill.
Okay, so Tarzan, like, shone his trophy and said, see, Monki, this is how you get an MVP of the split. And then Monki said, oh, bet? Okay, I understand now. And he's been all over the map, gotten 2 kills back in favor of his team. And okay, it hasn't made the gold lead look any better, but the tempo vibes of this game have swung slightly back in Team WE's favor. They get the 3 grubs now. Top lane is a lot easier when, you get more gold to put into your Kanik Rooken. It'll be the Dragon trade on AL side, but Team WE saying, okay, look, we do know how to scrap as well.
Ends up being all 3 grubs secured for WE, as you called out. Not sure if that is something that WE can ever utilize properly in side lane scenarios, but those 3 grubs, if you ever win a team fight, which this team is built to do, it's going to pay off massively, as we've seen it do for many other teams. Both dragons, or both objectives, have now been taken off the board, so Gebetto, for the next few minutes, we're kind of chilling until the Rift Herald and the second dragon of the game spawn.
Yeah, we're just hanging out. And I'm assuming both these teams are just going to be hanging out as well. I think that even though the mid lane matchup is looking really rough right now, like full Ludens completed and the Lucidity boots is pretty brutal for Karis to lane into. The Grubs are good on Azir. Like, when he's in a side lane, if he can get some of these items online and be alone in the side lane to push down some towers, that will be really nice. Get some gold back. There is some split push potential with that, but other than that, Yeah, the Ornn, not amazing at doing it either. First item spikes being completed for most of AL. You know, the Sundered Sky, the Luden will be pretty close to the Bloodthirster as well for Hope. So when those are completed, AL are significantly stronger, and Team WE are going to have to be a bit careful with when they take their fights.
First item spikes coming online for a couple of characters here. Luden's completed for Shanks. A lot of burst damage on this Orianna. It's going to be a little hard to take down Q, but that's not going to be his job later on. He's just hopefully can connect that shockwave combo onto anyone caught in the Cataclysm that is a squishy target, like Karis and About.
There's a big big item discrepancy in the mid lane right now, and Monki takes a bit on the flash in.
Two-man shockwave in the two-man fly can drag the Cataclysm onto one. Karis tries to put him into a bouncy house and manages to survive.
I mean, living that is huge. Okay, you're losing more, and there is a Nautilus hooking in to try to, you know, close the gap, stop some bases, but like, the fact that you're living there, that could have very easily been a double kill instantly for AL. Again, there is a massive item discrepancy in mid and jungle. Nash's is finished now for Karis, but in the BT finish for Hope as well. AL are still very, very strong. 3,000 gold in the lead. I think Team WE have had good responses to what AL are doing, but they have no agency. They can never be first unless Monki finds those times in, you know, in the top lane that we found, sorry, that we saw a little bit earlier, but still 3,000 gold lead for AL.
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate for WE because you look at the actual fights themselves, they're being played pretty well by WE for the most part. Unfortunately, all the gold that anyone's legend have just been able to kind of strangle WE out of, whether it's the laning prowess or the way that Tarzan has just been able to bleed resources from Monkey's jungle over and over again. Death charge forcing About to flash away. The flat, swing and a miss from Kael. That hook did not find the mark.
I mean, About has barrier. Under tower, do they kill him? Maybe with the bullet time. There is a possibility, but I think that you do take a lot of damage, so maybe Kael a little bit happy that that happened. Yeah, Team WE, they're a little poor. They would love some gold, you know. Looking at all the gold AL has, and they say, can you please give us some? And AL just, they don't answer. They're stoic, right? Kael completed already for Hope at 13 minutes is a bit insane. So it has quite a bit of gold right there. It, you know, just completed, I believe, 900 gold up off of... Honestly, I can't even tell you what he... Like, is it just plates? Like, he's up 900 gold, and he's up 9 CS. I don't know how that works. Maybe cashback as well. I know that that item's really strong. Oh, rune, sorry.
He is running inspiration. I didn't get to see what the runes were, but that could make sense. Could also just be plates or the bulwark procs. Shanks is basing on a ward, so Cube is just gonna try and stall that one out and continue to delay Shanks' time to recall and get redeployed back on the base. We've vamped long enough, Gebetto, that we are now back to the second round of objectives spawning. 5 seconds before the second dragon. WE are pretty well equipped to have first move into it, and Herald is not spawning for another 35 seconds, so anyone's legend, if they want this objective, they have the gold to kind of just brute force their way into it. Can WE use vision to their advantage?
Yeah, Team WE do have item spikes, which is pretty important. They are down a lot of gold, but the item completions are very even. No TPs for the mid laners who are up in the top lane, so it's just going to be a 4v4 down here in bot.
Tarzan goes in, EQ flag and drag onto multiple people, but he is the first one bursted out. Flandre with the flank and the equalizer roasts them alive, instantly takes out two, but Flandre cut off from the rest of anyone's Legends core. He manages to flash out at the last possible second. They don't get a chance to stop the dragon from being taken, but during this entire sequence, Gebetto, Shanks is pushing and getting solo gold on the top side.
Well, he also got the solo kill. He killed Karis 1v1 up here in the top lane, and then is getting all this gold. The top lane, or sorry, the mid lane matchup, not looking very good, but what is looking very good for for Team WE is the cancel on this MF ult with the Zinzao you were talking about earlier, being able to immune the first bit of it, and then the Ornn ult canceling the bullet time. Flandre in the backside did a lot of damage, but Tarzan was killed so early in this fight that you really need Shanks to be around these fights, right? We were talking about the gold leaders. I guess we'll see this replay. He's full health. I can't believe that Shanks does this much damage, flashes and then just kills him. So I know this is great for Shanks, right? This is really good. But if he was there at the Dragon fight with this much of a gold lead, he has 2 completed items in a professional game of League of Legends in 16 minutes. He is really, really, really fed right now. If he was there, if he's ever there for these objective fights, I feel like it looks completely different. But instead, he's not there. Team WE take down the gold lead from Tarzan immediately, and then there's just not enough damage. We'll finally get a look back at this. So Flandre is wrapping around the bot side, but the bullet time from MF gets cancelled instantly. So the Crescent Guard blocks it, kill Tarzan, and then it gets knocked up. No one else is tanking the damage from Hope at all. Cube is so tanky at this point, and once, you know, once Tarzan is dead, there's no real way of continuing on the fight without Shanks being there.
It is genuinely so intriguing that anyone's legend can play that fight, essentially go even, if not have it be WE favored, and they're still going up gold. Like, they went into that dragon fight at 3,000 gold advantage. They walked away, and it's like, WE think, okay, we did pretty good at this fight. And they're like, wait, we're down now 4,000 gold. Tarzan making the engage on the Yaoyao, gets snagged up by the dredge line and locked in place, but this quick stand behind me gets over the wall to Monki, but about not in a safe place anymore. Tarzan isolates him from the rest of the group, and now WE contemplating a way to escape, or at least keep their distance. Monki decides to go back in. Flash from Kael gets him out alive. Tarzan might be a little worse for wear, but he goes back in with another EQ flag and trap. Bullet time from the shockwave as well. Blows up 2. Gets the double kill onto Karis. This is here. Monki falls next. And now, just like that, Gebetto, anyone's legend go from 4 to 7,000.
I think Team AL are finding, like, someone on the Rift has a hole in their pocket and a lot of coins are falling out, and AL are just picking them up, because you said it was like a 4,000 gold lead. You look away and you look back, and it's now a 7,500 gold lead for Team AL here. And I mean, Team WE, you lose 1 in mid, or so you lose like tempo in mid. Sure, you look at this fight, it's okay, but then AL just find a great fight. There's no way of interrupting the Ornn ult. Shanks is actually... Sorry, there's no way of interrupting the bullet time. Shanks is actually here this time. And I think that Team WE... I know that the stream is... No, let's go back. Because I don't think Team WE need to see this again. Maybe if it's like really frame laggy, maybe it's a little... We don't necessarily know what's going on. Maybe they could have won a fight. I don't know.
For anyone at home wondering if we're also witnessing the slideshow, yes, it is happening on our end too. But hopefully, Gebetto, the phrase "a picture is worth 1,000 words" carries a lot of value, because if our Huya feed continues chugging like that, we're really gonna have to start playing Pictionary and see if
picture is worth 1,000 gold in this game, I think.
Yeah.
Well, these pictures are worth it. They're worth quite a lot, but only for AL. You know what's even worse about this is that the only really relevant shutdown is Shanks. If Shanks dies, it's a good amount of gold. It's not even like 1,000 gold yet, but if Kael dies, if Flandre dies, if Tarzan dies again, there's no shutdown on them. It doesn't matter. So
He's
Team
quite
WE,
too.
Yeah, they're pretty. You know, they're a bit like the mouths are dry. You know, they really need some kind of water here. They're pretty thirsty for some gold, which is crazy to say, because I think that Monki did have a pretty decent early game with the way that he was able to pull back the start that Tarzan had. You know, I think that's a statement as to how this player can be. See, Team WE, they did order this slideshow back because they looked at the gold. They weren't happy about it. But AL, you know, they end up making the decisions and said we can't have the slideshow for too long.
Rage that the feed is clean.
AL have been getting fed. There's some kind of feed going on.
Does go to Tarzan. Shanks managing to flash away from the call. The Forge God's second cast gets out alive. But for WE, if they want to aim for that shutdown booty, it's got to be communicated that, hey, Shanks now has no flash.
I will say it's kind of insane that AL are allowed to get away with what they just did. They had Tarzan soloing the Drake. They had, like, weak side top where they could have been dove, and then Shanks is just dangling himself as bait in front of a tier 2 tower. 2 people come and he just flashes away, and that's it. I think that AL has spread themselves very thin towards that play, and it could have gone very badly for them. That they could have given away that shutdown. They could have all died across the map. But AL still have nearly an 8,000 gold lead. They've got this Herald ready to be used. I mean, we could be seeing like a T1 Baron anytime around this corner. It's not great with an MF Orianna, but with zero vision, you'd have to walk in, and I think that AL are just happy to take the fight after that.
Good use of the equalizer from Flandre, clears out the minion wave. Does not have access to, or does have access to, empowered TP from his top lane quest. Rift Herald is dropped in the mid lane. Dredgeline does snag onto Yaoyao, flag and drag for the knockup right on top. Forced to flash away, as he was not in range for the stand behind me, as a flash down on Braum as well as the exhaust. And tier 2 turret does get felled. Gonna make the charge into the inhibitor turret, and anyone's legend gonna back off, shift over to topside.
So what I want to ask, Rafa, is what exactly have we learned from this game 1? This is a nice hook, but is this a kill? Does he just die?
Cube does flash away. Monki now leading the charge. It's a teleport coming in from Karis, but Flandre answers it. So WE are going to call off the play. Monki goes in. Okay, well, Crescent Guard is popped. He can block damage from both Shanks and Bullet Time for now. Karis with the Emperor's Divide does scoop in Shanks. They get him. Big shutdown, but what about the rest of the Panda squad as they lay waste and completely ruin WE? Ace at 22 minutes and Baron's on the menu.
Okay, well, what I learned from that fight is Karis' Azir is not bad, but you need to do more than just kill this Orianna. Hope silently building up this gold lead on the MF and does so much work in that fight. I think that AL overstepped for the cube kill, but, I mean, they're ready to respond. Flandre on the backside again. The Crescent Guard is good to buy time and space, and this shuffle from Karis is actually really cute, but Hope doesn't get hit by it, and then he just stands in the backline and kills absolutely everybody.
The tragedy of this for WE is that they're not playing these fights badly. There's some good moments mechanically. It's just the wallet diff. That's the unfortunate reality. They're playing these fights down 7,000, 8,000, and now 10,000 gold. So going forward into the series, I know it sounds pretty predeterministic to be like, okay, yeah, we're already talking about game 2, but come on. This is a 10,000. I'm talking about game 2. Yeah. This is a 10,000 gold lead from anyone's legend. And what we can look for from WE is that, hey, if we can manage to not get bled out this much gold before we get into these team fights, as we get another one breaking out in this red side jungle. Call the Forge God already used Glacial Fissure. Decent knockup on the 2 members. Tarzan below 50% HP, so is Kael. Shanks wants to go in. Shockwave on the 2. Monki tries to sweep into the back line, manages to assassinate Kael and speeds on out. But this just feels like a consolation prize as the Bullet Time executes him where he stands. Triple kill for Hope, and Karis is just trying to fend off Flandre in the top lane.
Shanks is so confident that that fight is done that he just went bot before the last kill had been taken. And, I mean, this all kind of spurs off of what we were talking about at the start with the fact that Karis doesn't play Orianna, and he's happy to play the Azir and the Akali into it, and has normally found a ton of success. In this game, against one of the best mid laners in the league, he is down a ton of gold, was solo killed earlier. Shanks and Tarzan completely set the pace early throughout this game. Hope's picked up a bunch of kills and has skyrocketed his goal lead as well. Thank God for Fearless, though. We won't have to see the Orianna again through this series, but this is, I feel like outside of scrims, this is the first stage game that at least I've seen from taking a look back through the matches that Karis has really been handed a true Orianna experience.
And the best part about this game 1 draft from anyone's legend is that they're not showing anything new. There's no trick cards being revealed early on, not just for WE's sake, but for the rest of the league's sake. As Monki, oh man, he got roasted in the 1v2 and Flandre flashes away. Don't tell me he escapes and even throws down the equalizer just to make sure the cars can't get to him. He's gonna go gold and burns him away with the flame spitter. I think Flandre got a little too greedy for it, but I respect the flair and the style points, keeping Karis at bay while the rest of his team is trying to finish the game here at 26 minutes. Glacial Fissure knocks up hope briefly, and the turret aggro was starting to ramp up, so forcing AL back off for now. Karis manages to recall in time, but they've got baroned up minions, and one more wave. The EQ flag and drag into the bullet tide. Good night, Karis, Yaoyao, and about. We're talking about game 2, because game 1 is already wrapped up.
I mean, it took a little bit of time, but once the coal was put in the engine, it just did not stop going. And I think that is a situation for AL where they just play so, in a good way, egotistical, right? They are so far ahead that they say, we have one wave and Baron, and Flandre's going to fight a 1v2 and nearly take positive odds to get the double kill there, keep Karis in the top lane, and then just win the game. No soul, one inhibitor down. That was... Normally, we haven't been seeing in this season, Ralph, but games end like that. That looked like last year's... Like a win from last year. You're not supposed to end like that anymore. You're not supposed to be able to, but AL did it.
That looked like a scrim game. I'm not going to lie, Gebetto. That was one of those moments where the enemy team decided to play it out, even though it seemed pretty over after a certain point. And obviously, because it is stage, you can't just FF. But it was really brutal, not just in the way that anyone's legend had bled resources from them the entire game, but how almost nonchalant they went about winning the game. Because you called out moments like Shanks leaving the fight before it even ended because he just knew that his team was already going to win it from that point on. He's like, yep, I'm just going to go ahead and optimize our time, try to speed run this series as fast as possible, take this turret while you guys finish him off. Flandre is also just dangling 2 people by himself while anyone's legend are pushing to end the game. These are the kind of efficiencies that, you know, when we talk about a team like anyone's legend being the clear favorites against Team WE, these are the ways that you need to be winning these games. It can't just be, oh, you barely win, or, oh yeah, you had a pretty good win. No, if you're going to be the clear favorite for the tournament and one of the expected finalists and representatives to first stand against a team like WE, you have to stomp them like this.
I think AL's draft was incredible. You know, like I was very cautious about how good this draft was for AL from the start. Getting Rumble, Jarvan, Orianna is... I don't know how you're allowed to do that, but they did it. The Zinzao looked good. Like, Monki had his moments, I think, but he was really the only person who managed to find anything in this game. Everyone else was completely out of it. The top lane matchup was rough. The mid lane matchup was impossible. Yeah, that's a lot of damage on Shanks. That might be an MVP for this game.
I think when we look again at this draft 1, I want to restate to chat that... Yeah, that's... Sheesh. I'm gonna restate, there's no fancy tricks being thrown in this game 1 draft. It's nothing we haven't seen before, which is why it makes it so impressive to watch anyone's legend win the way they did, because it's the creativity of Tarzan's opening path, invading early, and just making Monkey's life be filled with more questions. It didn't necessarily make Monki like out of the game, but that first onset of, oh, I pathed bot and now my red buff and Krugs are gone. Okay, well, what do I do? Well, now I want to get camps back because I don't want to fall behind in tempo. Oh, I guess I can look for Shanks and try to pressure him off. Okay, well, now Shanks ran away and I don't want to chase him forever. I want to go for camps. Oh, but now Tarzan's here and now I'm stuck and now I'm overcommitted. What do I do? And those are the kinds of high-level gameplay that anyone's legend can present even with just like a normal basic draft like this.
Yeah, I'm sure these teams have been scrimming, but I mean, Team WE, welcome to Group Ascend on stage, right? Like that's how this looked to me. I think that, again, Team WE, like, I think that Monki had a good game. Game 1 was not bad from him, but everyone else, I didn't like. I think mostly this is the draft for me. I think that the bot lane is whatever. It really doesn't matter. Corki, get out of the Jarvan cage. He never really got activated. The top lane matchup is just, you can't beat Rumble right now. They banned Cassante, which has been like the answer. I don't think Ornn does a good enough job. You just have no prio. The team fights are very hard to play. And then the mid lane, there was a massive gap. And this was something that I was very concerned about, talking about the Karis Orianna. He has this idea, or at least looking at the picks and bans, where Orianna gets left up fairly often, and he'll pick something that Karis likes against his Orianna. But unfortunately here, it didn't really pan out the way that I think WE wanted it to. Obviously.
Yeah, I if you have counterpick, I think this is just a meta where push and priority is so damning for the jungler that doesn't have priority in his lanes.
Yeah.
Because if you're playing against a jungler like Tarzan, he's going to abuse that. He's going to move in and he's going to try and stat check you, or pretty much hand check you and start posing questions to you and see how you react and think on your feet. And that kind of pressure, not many junglers can really adapt as fast as the best junglers in the world. And that's why earlier on, before the series even started, we started saying, if anyone's legend managed to go to first stand, there's a world where Tarzan enters as the best jungler in the tournament.
Good choice.
Yeah.
This is a good choice. Is this first MVP?
I think this is for playoffs.
Okay, that makes sense. I was going to say, really? Shanks has not got a single one so far? That makes sense.
Yeah,
I think I don't want to diminish AL at all, but I do really think that the draft for Team WE is just so difficult to play. Like, not on paper, not looking at the picks isolated, but the lanes are just so hard. Like, it is a bit greedy to play this matchup. Like, we've seen it go well for the Azir, but we've also seen what happens when the Orianna gets any gold. Like, I spoke early about how this comp is going to look, whereas it's about mid. If, like, bot lane is whatever, top lane is going to be a lead for Rumble no matter what. If the mid lane goes either way, in any way, shape, or form, the game's almost done. And that's exactly what we saw, right? Shanks got a gold lead, and it was impossible for Karis to do anything. It was impossible to play the team fights. There was one where Shanks wasn't there, and the bullet time got interrupted that Team WE looked good in. The team fighting wasn't bad, but you're going to need to set yourself up a little bit more for success with your lanes. You can't be down 3 pushing lanes against a jungler like Tarzan. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, you got to get priority somewhere for yourself in the draft. And if you are giving counterpick over the top lane and you're not able to get push, then that is going to be a recipe for disaster, and probably is better to try and set up push elsewhere. But that is game 1 wrapped up in the books. We're going to take a short